Greetings, upstanders. Dr. O here. And black folks, can we have a conversation about N-word usage? And to be real, I hate the term N-word almost as much as I hate the actual word that it represents. Because a lot of people feel like they're on some higher, holier than thou level when they say N-word, but haven't really done anything to fight what's happening in a society that's treating us like the real word every single day. And so it's kind of like a cop out. Now, to be clear, I'm not Piers Morgan in this joint. I don't want folks just throwing the joint out on TV. You know what I mean? Nor do I want Mark Lamont Hill calling himself that in front of a whole bunch of folks there on TV. But it's neither here nor there, or maybe it is. Why I was listening to Karen Hunter, and a brother talk about it, and it just reminded me of this, like, why are we so addicted to this word? Now, it's not a word that I use. It's not a word I ever use just in, random conversations, and I'm putting it in a poem like, you are not that. Don't call yourself that. I can never be that. Then, it'll be said. But it's never been part of my language. Why is it that we still feel the urge to be connected to it? And the brother who Karen Hunter was talking to, forgive me, I forget his name. I don't have the video right in front of me. When she was asking him why he still uses it, he had so many poignant points to make. One of the things that he was saying is like, I've been working to get rid of the term, but he said basically it's like it just works conveniently for the language that I'm engaged in around, familiar people. And so we have to ask ourselves the question, like, why is that so convenient for us? Why is it more convenient for us to use that than my brother, than my sister, than hockey, than anything like that? Like, that's part of our programming. And this idea of reclaiming words, I don't believe you can reclaim words that were never yours in the first place. I don't care what Kendrick Lamar said. It didn't come from Negus, and all that other type of stuff, back in ancient Egypt and all of that. Nah, we know where it came from. It came from racist white people. And if you're watching this and you got a nice watch on, I can't come up to you, or a necklace or something. I can't come up to you and say I'm reclaiming it because it was never mine. And so this idea of, it's our word, we can say it, you can't. I've always felt that was what was a BS argument. And of course, I listen to hip hop and I listen to music that has it. And so it's not. I'm talking about how all of us have come up with this word, growing up with this word. And now, as a professor and someone who talks to kids in high schools, I'm seeing new generations of young black people using this word with no knowledge of the history. Even some of my college students who actually in their papers are writing of talking about how we can use it, they can. It's a term of endearment with no real knowledge of the history. I'm seeing elementary schools that I'm going to talk to where white kids who know the history, or non-black kids in general who know the history, are asking third and fourth and fifth grade black children if they could get a pass to be able to say it. And y'all who got kids in schools of all of these ages, y'all know exactly what I'm talking about, particularly if there are black kids who are going to schools that are not majority black schools. These private schools and the like. So what are we really doing as we deal with this word? I have children, 19, 18, and 10. My 16, I'm sorry, 19, 16, and 10, and they're my daughters, my older ones. They're all into hip hop. They know about the history. They know about the word, and and not using it and everything. They don't feel like it's something they need to just speak casually and everything. My 10-year-old son doesn't listen to any music that has it in there. He's slowly getting into, more hip hop stuff as opposed to more like the kids things, what's his name? Exum or some of these other guys. But I had to tell him that as he's coming up in his school, he's probably going to have some kids ask him for a pass to be able to use it. And so he can't be heard using that word as well. Why do we need it? Why do we need it? I'm hearing all of these guys in these interviews, the Joe Buttons and all of these guys. I'm seeing younger rappers. What's the really large guy's name? Blunts or something like that. Actively telling white people to say it at the concert. So we have like whole new generations of uneducated educating the uneducated on this word as if that's cool. We don't need this word. We don't need it to grasp onto in any way, shape, or form. We don't need to try to reclaim something that's not. If the root of something is negative, it's always going to be negative. That's what people mean when they say you can't put, mustard on crap and call it a hot dog. It just is what it is. You know, lipstick on a pig. Like, it is what it is. The roots are dirty. We're better than this. We're stronger than this. And is that all we have to hold on to and grasp, by saying this is something that is ours? No, like, this is something that is ours. Like, this is something that is ours. Like, there are so many things in our culture and history to be prideful of. We don't need that word in any way, shape, or form. So and look, to be clear, this isn't about respectability politics, and we have to stop using it so the Shiloh Hendrixes of the world will stop using it. Come on, we know that's all BS, and we know that people, they straight up racist when they're saying this stuff. This isn't about them. This is a conversation for us, and these are more conversations that y'all need to be having in the spaces that you occupy. And to be clear, I don't differentiate between between the A and the hard ER. It's all the same to me. And any of y'all who are honest, who really think using that term with the A as a term of endearment, I guarantee the majority of the hip hop or the majority of the art that you consume where people use that term, the majority of the time it's used is negative. And you just got to be honest about that. And the majority of times it's used historically by any artist, it's used negative. Outside of people saying, I put my N words on, or that's it, or strictly for my, like, outside of that, it's about killing folks, not trusting folks, etc., etc., etc. And so my hope is that as Black people, this word has been globalized through the music. You can go into Japan, you can go to Senegal, you can go to Colombia, and people seeing a Black person to introduce you, introduce themselves to you, say, hey, what's up, my, like, that's what they're doing. And yes, that's the record labels and stuff, but it's also the artists who are making the music. And as KRS One said, that mic you speak through goes from here to Mogadishu, and how you represent us is the issue. That I've experienced that traveling abroad. Black folks can get off of airplanes in three-piece suits and be greeted with that term. The term is not serving us properly in any way, shape, or form. I would love to know your thoughts in the comments about what are the benefits of still using that. What are the benefits of putting that out there when in our schools they're not doing anything substantial to teach our kids the history? I've had Black students tell me that when they're reading books like Huck Finn and so on and so forth, their white teachers, when they were coming up in middle school, high school, whatever, they would, when it came to the word, they would turn to the Black student and have the Black student say the word and then keep on moving on. Is that what we're doing? Is that what's going on? Because to be quite honest, I feel like if it's there, if it's in historical texts and everything like that, I personally feel like it should be read just like any other word should be read. It's part of the history. But teachers need to be schooled and educated on how to teach about this word, how to talk about this word. But all they're doing is either saying N-word, skipping over a phrase entirely, or actually making their Black students say it. Where's the history? And so all of these kids just look at it as sort of like a taboo thing. And anybody who sees something, less like all of us when we were younger, who sees something that's taboo or something that you can't say or something, you're going to want to say it. You're going to want to do it. You're going to go want to consume it. That's just a fact. So what if we actually had real education about this word from a young age? What if we were able to teach people about this history? And the fact of the matter is, I don't speak a lot of other languages. My French game is good. Swahili game is not where it used to be. Neither is my Wolof. But I don't know of other groups who have other ways to say the slurs for their community, whether Latino, Jewish, Arabic, Muslim, indigenous. I don't know if they have plays on words that are slurs, nor do I care to know. But what I do know is that no other group has it publicized as much as we do in our own music. And as somebody who stays connected to young people regularly, these kids are growing up without context, just like many of my generation grew up without context. And so all the rappers out there, well, you don't need it anymore. And the fact of the matter is, you never did. You never did. Those of us, college students who believe that this is like our thing and so on, you don't need it. You got a lot of other stuff that you can hold on to and be proud of it, and so many other beautiful words. And yeah, there's another video to come about white folks and other people who just feel like they have to use it, like they have to say it, and so on and so forth. That's another video. But I feel like in where we are right now as a society, where we're going as a society, with all the ignorance and all the hate and all the racism that's out there, it's a great opportunity and time for Black folks to really reassess our own selves, our own spaces, how we're going to stick out our chest more with pride, movies, the sinners, and all this other stuff, things that are bringing out, great cultural moments and the like. I just don't see that. I've never seen it in my entire life as a word that is productive for us as Black people. I believe that we need to stop engaging in the spread of this word. I feel like we're smart enough to come up with other terms to use to refer to our people. I think it's part of the, as the late Joe Madison said, cultural conditioning, the programming that has been done to us, that many of us feel like it's more convenient to use a word with that type of roots in history than to call ourselves brothers and sisters. And again, those of us who are, the hip hop generation, our parents didn't know hip hop. They didn't understand hip hop. So they had, the R&B and the jazz and all the other type of stuff, and they were basically telling us, don't listen to that music. Now we are the hip hop generation. That's why so many of us can connect with our kids in the music they listen to. Some of my students, their dad is like, yo, I got closer to my daughter being with her taking your global hip hop class because now she understands Nas better. My class on Jay-Z, I have a student said this help me get closer to my parent. Like, so we can connect with our kids in ways that our parents really couldn't, or our parents' generation really couldn't. That should be a level of responsibility for us to not just say, go out there and say all of the language, dance to all of the sexy red and all this other type of stuff, and just say N-word this and all the time. And again, this isn't a condemnation of rappers. This isn't a condemnation of anybody. It's not a condemnation, it's a conversation. We're better than that word. We don't need that word. We never did. And I feel like we should start making active steps to stop using it if we do, call people out in our own private spaces who we got access to, and just start to do something better. We're worth it. We deserve it. What do you think? Why do we still need the word? Why does it have to stay? Why can't you stop saying it? What was your journey to stop saying it? Why did you never use it? Let's have this conversation, y'all. I'm here for it. I look forward to your thoughts. Peace out.